Footbath. So we might just ask a few questions about lameness. It's topical in people's minds at the moment. What's happened in the past? Where are you now with this new setup?
Well, I suppose we found with the new setup here in the parlour, our cow foot health has improved an awful lot this year now. We're foot bathing once a week, and at the moment now we're doing it twice a week. The weather is changing again, and maybe back there for a little bit. But as well as that, we have our paired and crate up here, and like the minute there's any cow showing any problem, we pull her out and do her straight away. And yeah, well, we've gotten top of it now because we had problems in the past now, you know, and our foot, we're just using a mat, and it wasn't good enough. Maybe we weren't doing it often enough either.
Okay.
Oh, we're happy.
Okay, so if we look at lameness issues, I suppose people really think about foot bathing as everything and the most important thing for lameness. But a real important point that Martin said there: as soon as a cow is seen lame, they're treating the cow. An early effective treatment is hugely important to get cows back in action again. If we can get them into a hoof pairing crate, gently on them, because certainly we find with grazing cows doing long walks, the very thin soles, they cannot take a lot of pressure either with a bad knife work, and certainly be careful with a grinder. If we can get a block on, and in most cases I'd certainly recommend you chat with your vet about getting an anti-inflammatory into those cows. They'll respond better and they'll stay with you a good bit longer. The thing about the foot bath, and hopefully you can see it here, in fairness, the lads have constructed. Did you make this yourself? Yeah. So a few blocks down, plastered over the block size. That's the way it was done. The internal length of this is around 4 meters. So 4 meters is giving us a cow is going to have a number of strides in here, and we'll probably have 6 to 9 seconds contact time with the chemistry. The most important ingredient in the foot bath is the length. We cannot overemphasize that enough. It's contact time. Irish cows, smaller weight cows would say higher maintenance values on EBI. We could look at a 3.75 metre, maybe 3.5 metre back internally with a smaller cow, just to cut down the volume of chemistry used. If we're using the bath often, I'm using maintenance levels. So we could be at 2% formalins, 2% copper sulfate, so we're not overdoing the chemistry, and we can manage the cost, which is important. Remember that digital dermatitis or mortellaro in our cycles about 7, 8, 9 days. We certainly need multiple foot baths if it's starting to get out of hand. And it's not as related to the wetness in the end of the year. The wetness at the end of the year is really the feet absorbing moisture, getting soft, and also our roadway starting to disintegrate on us at the end of the year, where we get our drops, our little bit of white line disease, our bruising and so on, that might need better care. That's not solved by a foot bath. Foot baths are for controlling infection. That's what they are for. They're not for any other reason. So we want to cut down the foot rots, the scalds, the digital dermatitis, and skin infections on the feet. That's what we're trying to do. So the elements that the lads have here are really good. Early effective treatment, decent foot bath, used often enough. How about cow flow, lads, with the foot bath? Is this creating problems with manure or problems with milking?
No, the cows flow through that all the time. So we did consider having a footpath where the cows would be diverted to the footpath, but we went in favour of them walking through it all the time. So whether the formalin or whatever else is in it, it doesn't really matter. They just walk through at the same pace, no problem. So we're happy with that.
Yeah, and I think the distance of the footbath from the exit of the parlour is very important. So you get a full row out, and they can disappear at their own pace. There's no hunting or driving the footbath, and no splashing is important. The only thing we do sometimes to modify these, the steps on the side, some clever cows sometimes can walk in them. If they get used to it, generally isn't a problem if they're not afraid. If we have a very big run in an open area, often cows will stop and dump, and they'll look over to the sides. They'll look at other cows, particularly in a collecting yard. So we sometimes will sheet up to about 1.8 metres. It cuts down the vision. We create a tunnel, and the cows move through an awful lot quicker. So there's a number of ways of designing the footbath correctly for your system. They don't have to be a problem. And we can do it real cheap, real simple, as long as we have a source of water and a source of chemistry for it. Any other issues around the lameness side? Any other things that you'd recommend people to do, lads?
Well, I think the constant footbath and the pairing, and we have gone easier on pairing because, as you said, the sole of the cow that's walking a fair distance can be fairly thin. And we do use shoes. We do just stick-on shoes, and they're quite satisfactory. And that takes the weight off of the side of the foot that is sore. So it's a good help.
And also, we see when you move in fast, the cow is kind of back normal again very quick. Whereas if you're waiting to do a few together, like you have a big problem.
Yeah, you're absolutely 100% Martin, and this is why, and I think I'd certainly, the fact that you've actually built a handling area correctly and that you have a way of managing the cows makes such a difference, because you will get it done quickly. Like us all, if a job is difficult, you're going to put it off.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to put it off. So I think that's really...
That was the case in the old setup.
Of course.
You know, so and that's the difference.
Yeah. So it's a number of things, and like any of these diseases, like managing cell count, managing lameness, it's a matter of putting all the little bits together to make it work. And it doesn't have to be a massive cost. We just got to use our head around it.